parasites in your gut. What do I mean? Parasites in your gut. This is all the way in your stomach lining and in your intestines, right? What are parasites? Parasites are worms, basically, for the most part. Different types and classes of worms, but thankfully they can all be treated in pretty much the same way to get rid of them. So where do these parasites come from, you might ask? Well, parasites come from the food we eat. The fresh produce that we eat usually has microscopic eggs of these parasites. So although we wash our vegetables, we wash our fruit and our berries and all those things, it's inevitable that at some point or other you are going to eat some parasite worms. They travel all the way through your stomach into your digestive tract. And what they do is those eggs hatch. And when the eggs hatch, the way these eggs are is they have, which is also why it's hard to wash them off of all your fruits and vegetables, is they have what are called cilia. Cilia are like little hairs that are sticky. So what happens is these parasites then stick to your gut. Remember, the gut is very soft. I know it looks yucky. But then once they stick, when the eggs hatch, the little parasites burrow into the lining of your gut. So you see these. If you say you had this and you tried to do this, they won't come off because they are inside this like mucosal lining. So there's like a lining of mucus in which these parasites burrow and they stay. And what these parasites do is they feed off of the food that you give them. Very nice life. They're sitting in there, they're protected from acid and everything else, and they literally just eat your nutrients. So not necessarily in the stomach, but in the smaller intestine going on, they sit there because absorption of digested food starts happening in those places. So your food gets digested, those parasites are there, and they're happy to eat and eat and eat. Now, here's the thing with these parasites is they can grow and they can stay there. This is why this is just a portion of somebody's gut, the inner lining, that is infested with parasites. It looks disgusting. I don't like worms any day. The only worms I like are masonja. And that's because they are dead and they are very yummy. But that's an aside. So these parasites stay there and then they lay more eggs. And they lay these eggs and the eggs hatch, and you know the story. They continue to grow and grow and grow. So while these parasites are eating your food, which is why a lot of people are actually malnourished. What does that mean? Despite eating the good food, the healthy things, the nutrients that they're supposed to be getting from this food, they're actually sharing with the parasites, right? It's seen more remarkably in kids, but certainly in adults. So what happens? I mean, for example, there are different types of parasites. You've got whipworm, you've got tapeworm, you've got roundworm, you've got hookworm. Hookworm is probably one of the worst because it is harder to get rid of. It has a hook that it sticks into your gut, and yeah, it's hard to get rid of, but you can get rid of it. So the question then becomes, well, these parasites are eating my food in exchange for what? The reason they're called parasites is because they are parasitic. So they're taking your food and they're giving you nothing good in return. It's not like the good, healthy bacteria we talked about, right? Who digest and have food from you, but then they give you something good back, right? These creatures are horrible. And these creatures, the only thing you cannot see under a microscope are the eggs, but you can literally see these. And some of them grow, especially tapeworm. They can grow to about 6 meters in your gut. So hello, if you've never done a parasite cleanse, you most likely have parasites. There are a lot of people who start to lose weight, but for some reason the gut stays distended, right? You start to lose weight sometimes because this stuff is eating your nutrients. And so you've got this big gut that won't go away. Well, I hate to tell you this, but your gut could be distended because you're full of worms. I'm sorry. Literally, you're full of worms. So, excuse me. So, let's talk about some of the problems that these parasites bring, because while they're taking your food, remember they are creatures, they are also excreting their waste products. These waste products are very toxic to humans. How do you know or know that you have these parasites that are causing you these problems? Number one, sleeping problems. So drooling during sleep is sometimes a sign that you have parasites. You know how you sleep, you're not drunk. When you're drunk, you'll drool. Most people do. But if you're sleeping normally and you're an adult or even a kid who wakes up always with drool, that is a sign that you might have parasites. Uh, Gnashing of teeth, meaning you grind your teeth a lot in your sleep. That could be a sign of having parasites. Snoring. Now, snoring is not just caused by parasites. There are other reasons people snore. But if you're snoring, it could be that you have parasites, right? Why is snoring such a bad thing? Well, when you snore or when you have what is called sleep apnea is when you're sleeping and you go, right? You have periods where you sleep and you take a breath and then you're not breathing, usually for about 40 seconds, and then you let out a breath. Those things are not good for you. Snoring, sleep apnea are not good for you, because what that means is at that time, your body is not getting enough oxygen. Your brain is not getting enough oxygen. And one of the signs is you wake up exhausted and tired. It is not good for your overall brain health over time to keep that condition going. So, those snoring, sleep apnea could be a sign that you have parasites, right? Twitching during sleep. I don't know if you've ever slept next to someone who twitches. And that's the thing, if you're by yourself, if you sleep by yourself, you don't know that you do these things because they happen when you're sleeping. But if there's someone who sleeps next to you, you have a kid that, into whose room you walk into every now and then while they're sleeping, and you see these kinds of things, it could be that they have worms. And kids have a lot of worms going on generally because kids are less likely to wash fruit. If, say, for example, they are walking past somewhere and there's someone who's selling fruit, there's a vendor, most kids will buy the fruit, especially the ones that you don't peel, like a peach or a mango, and they'll go straight into eating it, right? So, and these parasites, again, like I said to you, a lot of them are in the soil. That's where they really ought to be, not in your stomach. However, they're very adaptable. So once the eggs get into you or into livestock, then they just grow, right? So you have to have a process where you deworm. What are the other things? So these are some of the things. Your sleep, I've discussed. Your appetite, you crave salt like crazy. Because what these things do is they leach you of essential minerals. And what are minerals? They're like salts, right? They leach you of magnesium, they leach your potassium, they leach your sodium even, and your iodine. So a lot of the times you're somebody who likes a lot of salt, right? Uh, Sweets. Some of these parasites, they are eating your glucose, and therefore you're always looking for sweets because you're tired, right? And we know that physiologically, glucose gives you a quick boost of energy, sugar rush. So there are some people who literally walk around with a bag and some candy, and every now and then they have to eat a chocolate or a candy because they don't know why, but they are suddenly feeling tired. So that's appetite. Your visible signs, rashes. Sometimes your body will itch and you have no idea why you're itching. Your skin is not dry, right? So you're putting cream, so it's not dry skin that's causing it to itch. And sometimes you'll have a rash that just appears in patches. Most times it happens because pinworm has a tendency to leave your gut and go into the bloodstream and then goes and colonizes certain parts of your body. Now, when that happens, the toxins are secreted wherever these parasites are, and it starts to itch. Yeah. It's usually localized, so it's not like your whole body suddenly itches, you're having an allergic reaction. It will be very localized because, yes, you're having an allergic reaction to something that is being secreted in one particular area. Tiny, tiny fine rash that you'll see. Increased mucus production. What does that mean? You're always blowing your nose. You feel like you've got phlegm and you're always swallowing phlegm. That is usually a sign that your gut has been inflamed. And when your gut is inflamed, usually it leads to a lot of mucus production because mucus is basically a sign that you're trying to get rid of something. If you know that if you get some powder in your nose, right, you sneeze. But along with the sneezing, you get your runny nose, right? Because that's your body's sign that you're trying to get rid of something. Hair loss and baldness sometimes is caused by parasites. Flaky nails, dandruff is usually a sign that you also have parasites that are emanating from your gut. But remember, they don't always stay localized, they move, right? Sometimes dark rings around your eyes are an indication that you have parasites. Part of which is because, of course, you're not getting adequate sleep. And when you don't get adequate sleep, it usually shows with dark rings under the eyes. Yeah. But it also could be toxin production. And these toxins, you can see them by just looking at around here. Sometimes when your body is really infested with parasites, you've had these parasites for years and years untreated. If you do this to your eye, you will see or you will feel like there's something moving in your eye. And if you go to a doctor, they can look and they'll see, oh, there's a fluke. A fluke is another word for parasite, a worm. Okay. Headaches, right? Fever sometimes, nausea, right? Inflammation of your joints, just feeling some type of way. Arthritis. Why? Because the toxins of these parasites cause your body to mount an immune response. Now, once your body mounts this immune response, these antibodies that come through can attack your own joints. Autoimmune, auto meaning self, immune attack, autoimmune diseases. So this is your own immune system going rogue and starting to attack your joints, right? Constipation, diarrhea, vomiting, bloating, flatulence, which means that you always have a lot of gas, abdominal pain, and it's not constant, by the way, and it's not sudden. So you're not just, it's not something that you would say, I need to go and see a doctor, because it happens intermittently. It doesn't happen all in one go. So sometimes the presence of these parasites causes your gut to contract as it tries to expel them. Because remember, these are foreign things that are in your body, and your body is always trying to get rid of things that are foreign. And so that contraction may happen once in a blue moon, but you just feel this, it's not a sharp pain, but your gut is contracting. You feel a pain in your tummy. What about indigestion? Indigestion is another one. And itching of your anus in the evenings. Because the life cycle of some of these parasites means that they get out of your body at a certain time, usually the evenings. I'm not going to bore you with the science of that. But yes, if you see, especially a kid kind of scratching or saying there's something that's wiggling, kids don't like that sensation. It's a weird sensation even in adults. So once you notice that, know that you have parasites. Yeah, I would suggest that everybody who's here get themselves some parasite cleanse. I also am here to tell you. So respiratory, always coughing. like that cough, that little cough that always brings up a bit of phlegm. You haven't been in anywhere that is dusty, you're minding your own business, and you've got this constant cough. This is a sign of parasitosis, as it's called. Now, the problem with these parasites is that a lot of people think that these signs and symptoms is just normal part of life. Well, it's not. And it is very important to deworm because when we look at other organ systems in your body, we will talk about how these parasites can actually be damaging to the other organs when they migrate out and go to the liver, for example. There are parasites that start out in your gut but end up in your liver, and they're called liver flukes, liver parasites. And they cause so much damage because remember, the stuff we're talking about is soft tissue, right? So you can imagine soft tissue being invaded by these things, and you are none the worse for knowing. You have no idea what's going on. You proceed as life normal. One of the things about us Bakwantu is we are not very conscious of our bodies. And part of what I hope to do with this series is to make you aware of how important it is to know your body, so that when you see changes, you know immediately that something is off. It's very important. And yes, we are all busy, but part of being a spiritual person is you do also need to be aware of what's going on in this, your temple, right? So now, the big question, how do you get rid of these parasites? We are not in big pharma. They will prescribe a bunch of things for you to get rid of parasites, most of which are not good for you, most of which have side effects for you that your body doesn't need. So that is the model of Western medicine: is you cure one disease, but you're going to create another one. You cure another disease and you're going to create another one. So what we do is we use herbs. One of the biggest helps is, and mine is almost finished. This herb is called intolwane. Intolwane is fantastic. It's an antimicrobial, and it will, because once you take it in, it will kill liver flukes. That's the problem, because it doesn't do anything about eggs, but it will kill worms. The other one is turmeric. And by the way, my number, if you want me to help you out with this and direct you to where we have these things at Kemet. Also, another thing you need to know about our herbs, especially indigenous herbs and the Ayurvedic herbs, is we get them from source. So this is a Zimbabwean moringa. That's what we have at Kemet. That literally, not moringa. Moringa is, I have moringa as well, but Ntolwane. This is sourced from villages in Zimbabwe. So it's not from some multi market somewhere. We get directly from source, right? Kemet has it. My number again, 734-274-0664. Most of you will see that number on Ganyezi page. That will lead you to my US number, and I can direct you what you need, and so on and so forth. So Ntolwane is a good one for killing. Turmeric is another good one. Very poisonous to parasites. So when you incorporate, say, Ntolwane and this one into your diet, you have to then be consistent on this in order not only to get rid of parasites, but then to kill off any new parasites that come in. Because remember, you always have a combination of young parasites, adult parasites that are mating, and then eggs. So we have to treat this along all those stages, right? We want to kill the live parasites, but we also want to make sure we get rid of the eggs. Now, here's something that y'all, it's pumpkin season, I know, in Southern Africa. Do not throw away your pumpkin seeds. Dry your pumpkin seeds, please. As you cook your pumpkins, collect the seeds, put them on some newspaper, put them out to dry. Why? It is a powerful, once you have them, it is a powerful worm killer. Why? Number one, it paralyzes the adult worms. There's an oil in pumpkin seeds that paralyzes adult worms. When they're paralyzed, they kind of fall out of your what do you call this? Out of your gut lining because they're paralyzed, and they come out. The other more important thing is that same oil actually kills eggs. So you should be on pumpkin seeds. This is not even something you need to go out and buy. Like I said, anytime you eat pumpkin, and you know we love our pumpkin, please save those seeds. Pumpkin, not what is the other funny looking thing, squash. Pumpkin, right? So get to eating those pumpkins that have amazing, amazing health benefits in and of their own. And then the seeds you dry. Once you've dried the seeds, there are two ways in which you consume it. First and foremost, don't roast them, don't salt them. Once they are dried out, if you have a blender, you can occasionally, in fact, you can blend them and eat them with the skin. Most people are like, what do we do with peeling the skin? Forget about peeling the skin. That stuff is good for you too, and I'll explain why in another video, right? Everything about food, most things you don't throw away. Natural food from the ground, you can eat from the top or use from the top all the way to the root, the stem, the leaves, the root, right? So your pumpkin seeds are very important. Another herb that is very powerful is cloves. Now, I do have a women's tea at Kemet, which is a mix of cloves, something else that I'm not going to tell you. But when we do sexual and reproductive health, I'll explain that tea. But it also has hibiscus. And hibiscus is also very, very powerful at killing what? Parasites. It also is wonderful because it will heal your gut as well. Because remember, these parasites have been poking holes in your gut, and so that inflammation, hibiscus tea is very good at getting rid of. So just had norovirus, tummy still queasy. Is there anything you can recommend? Norovirus. I'd have to look up something because I don't know what is available for you at home. So I've noted your question and I'll look it up. Okay. So cloves, we have them in hibiscus tea for women. If not, get yourself some cloves. What you do with the cloves is you make it like a tea and you steep it. So how much would you take? You're asking me. So if you're trying to get rid of worms, let's see if you guys can see this. I'd say about this much, okay? Now, here's the thing about cloves. This is why we've put it in a tea, which you can sweeten with honey. They're very bitter. The turmeric on Kemet is in capsule form for a very good reason. Turmeric will paint everything. Your fingers, your teeth will be yellow, like this yellow, right? It eventually goes away, but who wants to walk around with yellow teeth? So it's in capsule form. It's been measured out dosage-wise. So instructions of how to take it, everything will be there. What else? This is a wonder herb. It's called Mafavuge in Zulu. In Shona, it's called Mufandi Chimuka, which basically means I die and I wake up. And it's a fascinating herb because when you put it in water overnight, when you wake up in the morning, it's green. It's green. That's why it has that interesting name. I die and I wake up. Mafavu. Okay, that is very good. You make it into a tea and you can drink it. Try not to sweeten these things, least of all with sugar. If you need to sweeten it, use organic raw honey for that. Please don't use syrups. Please do not use these honeys that they'll tell you. And you need to be careful when you read the label, because I once bought something I thought was honey, but I just saw the word honey. It was honey flavored syrup. Syrup is nothing but sugar, not good for you. Remember, these parasites also feed off of sugar. So you're trying to get rid of these things and then you're feeding them. Aibo. Right? The best way to take these things, oh yeah, in Dolane, how to take it. Well, in Dolane, the instructions will be there as in how to use the dosage. Uh, yeah, like what dosage to take. I personally will take, oh, it's finished, man. I'll take usually a teaspoon. I'll put it on my tongue and then I'll chase it with water. Simple, done. We have not made this in capsule form yet, but at some point we will. But for this one, we had to make capsule form simply because, yeah, ne. The other thing too is garlic. So garlic is two ways. Raw garlic for a lot of people is very hard to chew. Now, we have capsules that are dry garlic. The reason we are not going to recommend cooking with turmeric or recommend cooking with garlic is because when you cook these things, it kills some of the enzymes. It does inactivate some of the antioxidant properties of these herbs. That's why my recommendation is that you take these herbs raw. If garlic is too hard for you to chew and the amount that you need to chew, I would get the capsules and use that instead. I'm going to do a live on herbs and supplements totally where I explain the benefits of each of these. This is just but one benefit we're using, but I'm talking about it because we're trying to prep our gut and remove things that are preventing us from taking in our nutrients. So I can recommend you guys eat sorghum and all these good things and your veggies and but if your gut is compromised, you're not going to get the full health benefits of any of these things, right? So if you do go and buy pumpkin seeds, yeah, okay, it might take some days to dry out or whatever. Fine. If you need to go and buy, please do not buy your pumpkin seed roasted or salted. You want raw pumpkin seeds. RAW, raw. Okay. So, if there are any questions, I'm happy. Yes, somebody from Zimbabwe just wrote here. Mufandi Chimuka is amazing. Man, it is. Another herb is umhlonyan. The mhlonyan is actually called African wormwood. That should tell you. African wormwood is great for detoxing from parasites in your gut as well. It does kill the parasites. But the one that I'm absolutely like in love with is the pumpkin seeds because it goes for the two-in-one, right? Your pumpkin seed goes for paralyzing parasites and it kills the eggs. So you might want to take pumpkin seeds as a way to get rid of the eggs. And then one or some of these supplements, the ones that actually kill the adult worms. Now, you're going to ask me, how long a treatment is this? My suggestion with these things is I I would really go intense for like 21 days. 21 days consistently intense on this. That way, you know that you've cleared out the eggs. That way, you also know that you've cleared out the worms, right? Now, here's the thing. Yes, you do this massive detox. What about prevention? Make pumpkin seeds a daily supplement. They taste good too. They taste really wonderful. you know just make it a daily supplement where every now and then you take like a handful. you know you take a handful of pumpkin seeds and you chew them. They're nice. Give them to your kids to eat. They're healthy. The oil in pumpkin seeds, a lot of people just take them because the oil is also very, very good. It's one of the healthier fats that you find in pumpkin seeds. The thing I love about our herbs, guys, our traditional herbs and Ayurvedic herbs, is that when it comes to side effects, I don't know how much turmeric you would need to have taken in one go in order for you to see side effects. That's number one. Number two, what you don't use in your body, and these are natural products, just gets excreted. It just gets removed. Not going to damage your liver. It's not going to damage your heart. It's not going to damage your kidneys. It's not going to damage your gut. it will literally just be washed out. And of course, when you're doing this, you want to make sure you're drinking at least 3 liters of water a day. I would suggest that for that time period, you measure out your water in a water bottle that gives you your 3 liters, and you make sure that by the end of the day, you have finished that 3 liters. I'm talking here pure water. I'm not talking your juices. I'm not talking fluids. I'm talking pure water. We're detoxing, right? It also will help you to get rid of the toxins that have accumulated in the body because of these things, right? So, what would be the dosage for pumpkin seeds? A handful. The way you would eat peanuts, right? And no, not the whole bag, because there's some people I know who I love very much who are addicted to peanuts that they will eat bags and bags if they were allowed to. So, no, you will take a handful and you will eat that. The best way to take your supplements, because we're using these are herbs, we are using them for medicinal purposes, is to do so on an empty stomach, right? So, like I said, the dosing is there. Anyone interested, hit me up 734-274-0664, and I will guide you very, very clearly on what you're to do and how you to do it. But it must always be on an empty stomach. If you then put it with food, then you're not getting the full effect going through because it's caught up in the food that you're digesting. Ne? So I hope this has been useful and helpful to someone. I'm looking for more questions. Can we mix intolwane with food? Somebody recommended eating porridge. My problem with that is that you're putting food. I just said, right? You want to take these things on an empty. I do this first thing in the morning. It sits in my office. I drink a lot of water. So first thing in the morning, what I do is I take my teaspoon and I take 1 scoop and I put it on my tongue and I wash it down with the water that I normally drink. I don't eat breakfast. I'm not a breakfast person. We're going to talk about that whole 3 meals a day nonsense because that's nonsense. So I don't eat breakfast. And so that'll be me. And my medicine is being absorbed into my bloodstream slickety quick, and I'm good. By the time I'm ready to eat, that's taken care of. At night, some of these you will be taking at night, and I'll tell you which ones when you contact me. At night, same thing. You want to make sure that you're not eating late. There's another problem. Please do not be eating after. Eating after 6 is not a good idea. Because by the time you go to bed at say 9 or 10, you haven't switched up the hormones. Because at nighttime, do you know that when you go to bed at night, there's the daytime hormones drop, the nighttime hormones come on. One of the nighttime hormones that starts coming up in your system in the evening is a fat burning one. So if you are digesting late, you prolong these daytime hormones in your system to deal with all this digestion. Therefore, the normal night hormones can't come in, or they come in late, and then you have other health issues. Dorani is bitter, so I mix it with a bit of honey. That's absolutely fine. Honey is fine. As long, like I said, just make sure it is pure honey, and if you can get organic honey, even better. But definitely no sugar, because then you're not going to get rid of your parasites. You know what? You might kill off a few, but you're feeding the rest, so it defeats the purpose. Any other questions? I'm trying to see if there are any other questions. All right, guys. So you know where to find me. Like I've said, I can put you on a treatment, a 21-day treatment to get rid of parasites in your body, and then put you on a preventative. Like, how do we then stay like that? Because you are still going to buy food. You're still going to buy veggies. You're still going to buy fruit. You are still going to, the daytime hormones instruct your body to store what you consume. Yes, exactly. Your nighttime hormones, when they kick in, they are saying, okay, we are not eating any food, but we need some energy to sustain the system while this one is sleeping. And one of the ways that's done is by burning fat, right? To provide your body with that energy while you're sleeping. So yes, absolutely right. Care homo ditsu. I see I've got some either scientists, biologists here. So that's it in a nutshell. I'll try to keep it really simple for you guys, just so you understand what's going on in your body, and also, yeah, the importance of detoxifying and getting rid of parasites. Many of you might realize that a lot of your skin conditions, the tiredness, the headaches, yeah, because those toxins can give you headaches. It's all to do with those horrible toxins. So, yeah, short and sweet. So, until next time, Togozin.